Good morning. Morning, morning. Hi, Claudia. Good to see you. There's Diane. Hi, Diane. And looks like other folks are logging in here. Hang on one second. I'm just going to, there we go. All right. See that Julie is here. Hi, Julia. I know we can't see you right now. That's okay, though. Um, and a few other folks. So good to have folks join us on this holiday weekend, at least here in the US. Hi, Diane. Oh, good. Della's here. Nice. Hello. Hi, Jackie. Good to see you. All right. Let's let Tracy in. It's a really lovely day today where I am. Hi, Della. Good to see you after so long. Yay. Hi, Jermaine. Good to see you. And Tracy's here. Hi, Tracy. All right. So, um, yeah, just welcome everyone today. And I'm not sure, but I think a lot of places are probably having parades and whatnot happening today. And there's one just right uptown. I don't live too far out of town. And yeah, so we might end up hearing, explosions and who knows what else they do in the parade. I think we have a big cannon in town. And so they usually shoot the cannon off this time of year. Yeah. So, but I think that won't happen until noon. Um, Anywho, I was just thinking about our sit today, and I don't know if is that distracting. The no, okay. It'll stop in a minute. Yeah, I was just thinking about our sit today, and was excited to focus on sounds. And so, if you are outside, that's great. If not, then just make sure the window's open or something, because we'll be focused on sounds today. It does sound like there's an emergency because there's lots of sirens. They should be passing in just a moment. So I'll just let them go by. Um, yeah, and I don't think we've talked about this in a while or focused too much on sounds and how we feel when we hear the sounds. And I was thinking of like what, what I normally do at bird sits that aren't, Zoom sits. Like if we were all together in person, we would be focused on the sounds a lot and how we feel when we hear the sounds and what we're experiencing. There's does sound like there's big problem somewhere right now. Not too far from me, speaking of sounds. um and and how do we know when a sound is a baseline sound, like something that's just part of the natural rhythm of things? And how do we know when a sound is indicating that something is probably not okay for the sound maker? That there's some danger or some concern around. And because this time of year, we have things like baby birds and whatnot that can make some sounds that can cause us to think there's something distressing going on nearby. So I think it's really helpful to just spend a little time focusing on that and getting our ears and our bodies, um, sort of our senses, tuned into what actually is the sense of danger and what is indicating just that everything's okay. So, wow. I'm gonna have to put myself on mute. It sounds like whatever's happening is nearby. Um, let those guys pass. Well, welcome, welcome everyone else who's jumped in after we start. We haven't really started yet, but we're just welcoming people. And so let's get ourselves comfy. We're going to be listening, focusing on sound today. Of course, if you see something, it's nice to be able to look at that and let me stop you in any way. Please feel free to just, let your eyes get attracted to what they're attracted to. But we're going to be sensing things today with our ears. And okay, to Zoom shares it cannot start. Hold on, let me read Julia's message here in the chat. I can't see it. 1 second. Zoom shares it cannot start my video because the host has blocked it. Oh, sorry, Julia. Yeah, I didn't mean to block you. I think if it was you, I think you were moving around before, and I just turned the monitor off. I will maybe after in just a little bit. I'll turn you back on. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean. I don't. Sometimes I just turn the thing off, and I wasn't sure if it was. Let me see if I can get you back on again. At the moment, ask to start video. There we go. Okay. So get yourself nice and cozy. If you're inside, open a window and let yourself just settle in. Take stock of what's happening inside your body. Let's start within our own selves first before we send our attention and our awareness outside of ourselves. So just let yourself kind of just start from the tips of your toes and move all the way through your body up to the crown of your head, and just notice. Is there any tension? Is there any openness? Is there curiosity? Is there deep breath? Is there shallow breath? Is something not flowing in the way you might want it to be flowing? Is there something that is flowing and just moving beautifully in your body? Just noticing what's real for you this morning and this time. And if you become aware of something that you want to shift, you can go ahead and do that now. Like if your posture's not quite the way you want it to be, or if you're noticing that your breath is maybe a little restricted or constricted, you can allow yourself a deeper, more full breath. And now if your feet are able to touch the ground, you can connect with your feet, or just however you're connected to the earth at the moment. It may be through your butt on the chair, whatever that looks like. Just let yourself feel that connection right now, sending your awareness to the earth below you, but also all around you as well. Noticing what that rhythm of the earth feels like in relation to your own rhythm in this moment. And now go ahead and let your eyes find something to focus on in this moment, something far away, just one point, one stationary point that is. And then after you've focused on that for just a moment, let everything else soften all around that point. And see how far you can expand that softness, that fuzziness, and that blurriness. Really have the intention of just blurring your vision. I know so often we want to stay in focus and have our vision clear, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to let everything soften and become blurry and soft. And just seeing what you're able to pick up on, what you can perceive now that you've softened your own self as well as your eyes. And without shifting from this softened vision, I'm going to send our attention to our skin first. So the feeling, the felt sense on our body. Maybe if you're sitting somewhere near the sun, you might feel a ray of sun on your skin. Just notice how that feels, or you might have a gentle breeze somewhere touching your body. Whether you're inside or outside, the air is always moving. And so you can see if you can tap into that movement of the air on your skin. And if that's too challenging to feel, you can just notice what it feels like to perceive that sensation of your pants or skirt or whatever it is that you're wearing closest to your belly. How does that feel? Maybe you have a shirt touching your skin. You just tap into that feeling. And now we're going to stretch our ears a little bit. So, again, reminding your eyes to stay nice and soft, and see if you can stay tuned in to what your skin is feeling while you send your awareness through your ears out onto the landscape. And just like you're kind of giving the landscape a massage with your sense of hearing, just feeling into all the crevices and all of the spaces in between things with your ears. And what's the most interesting texture that you can hear right now? And go ahead and listening for the voice that is the most prominent on your landscape. Sure, you all know which one is the most prominent on mine because you can hear that right now. I'm going to mute myself. And then, without losing that prominent one, go back to find that texture that you were connected to just a moment ago. Can you still find that texture that you were listening to somewhere in the cracks and crevices and the spaces in between? And now, do your best to listen for the sound that is the most gentle, the softest sound, but still see if you can tap into that most prominent sound and the texture you were listening to. I'm going to try and layer today. So, our bodies, especially as women, have this beautiful capacity to be able to multitask, but not in that crazy making multitasking modern day sense of multitasking, but where you try and get as much done as you can in 1 minute, but the kind where you're able to listen to the bird sound as well as the crumples on the leaves and maybe the footsteps of a mouse or the sound of a person nearby, and still have a conversation with the person in front of you. So this is just an opportunity to practice that skill right now with our ears. And so, as I mentioned earlier, in case anyone came in late, we're going to be listening for what it sounds like to have baseline, to have things just okay on the land, have things in sort of their normal state. And so, if it feels like the things on your landscape are in just sort of a normal state in this moment, let yourself feel that. Notice all the different sounds that are just the normal state for this time of day at your place. And notice how it feels in your body. And we're going to allow ourselves to do that for the next couple of minutes. How many different voices can you hear on the landscape right now? And not just voices, but also the presence of, maybe for me, I know it's the leaves rustling. Today we have a gentle breeze coming through. And so, how many different sounds can you hear in this natural rhythm? And now you can send your awareness onto the landscape and listen for anything that might sound a little out of the ordinary. And maybe not even just a little, maybe it really just is out of the ordinary. Maybe there's something that sounds a little distressing, something that maybe is really consistent and repetitive and just really calling your attention to it. And if you don't have anything like that, that's okay. You can continue to listen for baseline and notice where you feel that sense of baseline in your body, where you feel that natural rhythm. How does it feel in your own body? And if you are hearing something that is a little off that natural rhythm, the baseline, then also tap in and just see if you can perceive where that sound lands in your own body and how it feels when you hear it. And now allow yourself, maybe you have a sound that called your attention to it, and maybe you didn't. If you did, you can stay with that sound and really try to tap into that. Notice if there's any concentric rings happening, if there's any other voices that are adding their concern to that one that you were focused on. And if not, if you haven't heard anything like that where you are, then do your best to stretch your ears as far as they can go onto the landscape to listen for something that might be a little out of sync. And don't forget the sky as well, listening up and far away. Just seeing if you can pick up on anything that's a little off sync or out of sync. Another layer we can add on to this, depending on what you're hearing or not hearing in your space, is this is a deeper layer, and that is that if you have a voice that's consistent on your landscape, like for me, I have a cardinal who always sings here, I have a red-eyed vireo who always sings here this time of year, sometimes a song sparrow and whatnot. And so if there's a particular personality, birdnality that's always there on your landscape, listen right now to see if they're singing from a perch that's their typical perch, or are they singing from somewhere that's different? Because even that can be an indication that something's maybe just, I don't know, just different. Be curious about that. I wonder why they're singing from a different perch than they're normally singing from. There could be all sorts of reasons for that, but just see if you can listen and find the voices that are most familiar to you and see if they're singing from their normal perches. And you can even add human-made sounds to this layer, that maybe there's a sound that's a human-made sound that's pretty consistent where you are, and is that still making its sound, or is it different? It could be like a dog that maybe barks often and maybe it's quiet right now, or vice versa. Right. Nice work, everybody, today. So just take the next moment or two to offer a sense of gratitude to those ones that you connected with. Maybe you got to meet a new friend. Maybe you were able to connect more deeply with an old friend on your landscape. And so just offer gratitude in your own way to those ones. All right. And so nice work, everybody. For anyone who might need to head out, you're welcome to do so, of course. Take care of yourself. And if you want to stay along for our chat at the end, you're also invited to stay for our chat. So um, please do. And I'd love to hear from anybody what that experience was like for you. Did you hear something that was out of baseline? Did you get to tap into baseline a little bit more? I know for me, something that caused me to even think about this was the last couple of days I've been hearing something that sounded sort of distressing from like the corner of my yard over here. It's actually my neighbor's yard. And I was hearing it the last couple of days and I was like, gosh, there's something like really, maybe there's like a snake over there. Maybe there's like something. And then this morning, right before our sit, I heard it again. I was like, oh no, I bet those are baby birds. That's probably just some baby birds that are calling, that this time of year they can sound like an alarm. But nothing else in my land was ever really upset around that area. There wasn't like a lot of species coming in there. So it's always a good indication that it's still something that's part of baseline. So even though it sounded distressing, it's still sort of a natural part of the landscape. It's not, doesn't indicate that there's a problem other than a hungry belly. For the baby bird, there's a problem, but not for anybody else. So yeah, I'd love to hear from folks this morning. What was that like for you, and what did you? Yeah, go for it, Jermaine.
I'm experiencing the typical birding story of a Phoebe has decided her nest should be right outside my front door.
Mhm.
And the way I found out about it was I have a chipmunk living with me for 10 days now, and I leave the doors open at night, but it feeds on the cat food and it's very happy. So I leave, I tried to open the front door to see if, and put some cat food out on the deck to see if maybe while I was away, it would come out. And as soon as I opened the door, the Phoebe flew in. So then I got her out of the house, and now she's building the nest, and she builds it on the mechanism part of this awning that I'm sitting under.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, when she first started, I thought, oh, I'll just open it and close it. She'll be gone. She'll pick someplace else. Well, it's in the one spot in the entire thing, I think, that doesn't move when you open and close it. So it's now her nest is full. It's a complete. And she's been sitting here for half of this meditation thing and just kind of at me like, could you go away now? Could you go away now?
Mm.
And so I guess I'm living with her. I put the awning in and out as needed, and she just deals with it. It doesn't hurt the nest. And so I've got the typical Phoebe story, but she's not making any racket now. She's gone away. I don't know if she's feeding or what, but she'll be back. I think she's committed.
Mm-hmm,
So that's
mm-hmm.
oh, and the other thing was listening. I mean, there's so much baseline noise now. There's just so much compared to when we were meditating in the early spring or the winter
Yeah.
time.
Right, right.
And there's just everything, robins and juncos and titmice doing their Peter and things that you don't hear other times of the year. The songbirds have gone quite quiet, and that makes me think they must be on their nest. You know what I mean? They're on eggs now because they start kind of early,
Mm.
and there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And I also heard a lot of cars going up and down the road, which I don't usually hear, and it's probably the holiday. This
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
it's what do you call it, parade time, and they're probably
Yes.
on their way. So lots of different things today in some way.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Jermaine. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
getting to know about your story. Yeah. Awesome. By the way, Marisa, it's good to see you. It's been a long time. Hi.
It has,
Yeah.
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 It's noisy here. The starlings have a lot to say. Yesterday, one said a few unintelligible words. I love it, like something like that, and then mimicked a killdeer. I had Merlin on and said like killdeer, but they will not shut up.
They're
Like,
amazing.
God,
Wow.
it
Wow.
was so weird. It was like they were mimicking. I
Yeah.
always hear about it, but
Yeah.
and I decided to mess with a robin's head. There was a robin in an area. And so when he turned around, I put a bunch of mealworms and then sat down, and it was this revelation on its little face. So he came back the next day looking at, are there magic mealworms here?
That's
So it was
awesome.
an interesting. I
Oh,
love to mess with their heads.
that's
So,
wild.
so yeah,
Well, it's good to
that's
see
about
you
it.
again.
Nice to be
Awesome.
here.
Yeah, great, great, great. Claudia, I saw your hand go up. Yeah, go for it.
Yes. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I love the idea of listening into the spaces and of looking for the texture of the sounds.
Mm.
My main sounds were I had a very, very insistent little chickadee that was just calling out, "Hey, sweetie," for a long time. And I had a little hummingbird that was sitting up on the wire and would fly down to my feeder and then back. So the the buzz of the hummingbird and his little sounds that he makes. But then and there were several different sounds going on. Then all of a sudden everything got quiet
Mm.
and the birds were all, and so I looked around to see if maybe the Cooper's hawk was out, but I didn't see him. And then after a few minutes, everybody kind of came back. So that was very delightful. Thank you.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I love that when you can pick up on the silence, when you're like really attentive to the sound and the songs and all the noise, and then all of a sudden you pick up on that silence. And yeah, well done. That's rad. I love that. Thanks, Claudia. All right, who else has a story they want to share? I don't think it has to be anything profound. It could be just a little moment of an experience that you had. Yeah, go for it, Julia.
Well, the sound of humans interested me. Typically, well, other times of the year, humans are not outside. But on this holiday, my backdoor neighbors have visitors and they're out on the deck and just, having a nice conversation. I can't understand what they're saying. But I thought, oh, that's the sound of summer, especially the sound of holiday,
Mm.
people being outdoors and talking to each other. I,
Mm.
th- I've never noticed that before. I remember that's the sound of summer.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. And also I think like too, like that certain like you can be far away from people but still hear a certain cadence in their voice, just indicating that slow social connection. And versus like I could hear someone last night, I was just about to go to bed and I was far off, but I could not hear the words, but I could hear the intonation of a fight. Like someone was yelling at someone else somewhere. It was actually, I think, a couple streets away. It was pretty far away. But I was like, probably someone was drunk and who knows what, because it's a holiday and whatnot. Um, but again, I couldn't hear any words. I could just feel that intonation of someone's angry. There's like, it was like these like little things kept like these like sort of bursts of sound and intensity versus that different cadence of like a conversation and like catching up and all that. Yeah. And
Mhm.
that's a beautiful relation to summer, that's for you, that's what's like part of what summer sounds like.
Mhm. And I'd never noticed that before.
Yeah.
This was nice this morning.
Aw, I love that. Yay. Thanks, Julia. Yeah, Tracy, hi, go for it.
Good morning, all. How are you?
Good.
This was lovely. I liked the texture part as well too, and the feeling, like how everything was feeling on your skin. I don't know how it is everyone's places, but everyone is eating suet like mad this season. Like I can't keep the feeder stock. They're just suet madness. And it hasn't been like this any other year. We've been here a couple of years and across the street for about 5 years. I don't know what it is this year, but the suet is just so the woodpeckers, there he goes again. The Gila woodpeckers, when I had my eyes closed for part of it, just the sensation and the movement of their wings through the air after they get their mouth full, and just the happy noises, not so much from the finches with, it is so busy with the finches and the sparrows and all the babies and the fluttering. And like you said, it sounds like an alarm call, but it's really just a feed me, feed me. But when they get kicked off the suet by the Gila woodpecker, or there's a white-winged dove too that'll yell at all the little ones and want to get their bites. So it's just very busy, but it's it's so decidedly summer. Like there's just a different feeling, and there is just a different texture in the air, and just the busyness of everyone. So yeah, I really, some human noises and some, cars and traffic, but mainly just, breakfast time and the end of the suet. So very
Yeah.
busy and a lot of movement, and yeah, it was really enjoyable. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of bustle over there, Tracy. Yeah,
Yeah, it's very
bustling
busy.
at your house. Yeah. Brad, thanks. What other stories wanna come out?
Okay.
Yeah, go for it, Dilla.
Yeah. It's great to be back, by the way. And anyway, this morning, I have a robin, and actually he's been here for days and days, even a week. And he goes on and on and on, loudest thing in the woods here. And I'm thinking, if you haven't hooked up yet, you're not going to. And if it's territorial, then I'm thinking, hey, everybody knows this is your your area, enough already. And it reminds me that sometimes we try too hard.
Hmm.
And perhaps this poor little robin is just trying a little too hard. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting a human thing on a bird, but why in the world would he go on and on and on, and all the energy it takes for him to sing incessantly? And I'm pretty sure it's one. I don't think, well, it could be more than one, but sounds like one, because I don't hear them at the same time. It's always a pause and then more singing and pause and more singing.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting thought, Della. The one sort of question that came to my mind, or curiosity, was like, when you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like work, that idea. And I just wonder if something like singing for a robin in particular is, it's easy to sort of break it down to something like simple, like science minded, like it's either like territorial or it's mating, it's like one or the other. And then I sometimes wonder, like, what else is there, in birdsong, and like, why else do they do it? And I'm just curious, like, there's got to be sometimes like another motivation, for why, or like if you have a neighbor who plays. I have a friend I met in Israel, and her boyfriend is a musician, and he plays all the time. She's like, all day long, like he's just playing an instrument. He's like, he does many different instruments, but you can walk into our house like any time of day and he's in there playing. And like, for him, it is his work. Like he has to keep up with things, but also like, he just loves it. He just loves playing his instruments. And so like, for her, sometimes she's just like, I just want it to be quiet. And for him, he's just like, I just want to play the violin. I want to do this. I want to, play the flute and whatever. And like, it reminds me of that robin right now. Maybe, I don't know. Interesting thought. Yeah, Tracy, go for it.
Della, that reminds me too, just yesterday I was cheering on this northern mockingbird because he's been singing all night for the past week or so. And it's been since last year since we had another juvenile that was just singing on the post nearby all night. So he was singing. And yesterday, for the first time, I saw two, and one came closer to the yard and they were chasing each other through, and he hasn't been singing all night. So I hope he found his honey, but I was like cheering him on. I was very pleased. And they usually don't come this close to the yard. And yesterday they were like tearing through and they came to the bird baths, and that's the first time. So I was just like, yeah, he did it.
Yeah. That's wild. Actually, and Della, I was just thinking today, in fact, the last couple of days I've been seeing a lot of robins on the ground, like group. I went for a run yesterday in the cemetery, and there was like a flock of robins. And I was like, why are you guys in like a flock? Like, you should be with your sweethearts, right? Like raising the kids and whatever. And I'm like, it just seemed strange to me. And then today I saw two males fighting, and I just think I know that I wonder if something happens when they have the transition times, like they've had their first brood, and then I don't know how long robins take a break. I know with my house wrens, when they were nesting in this little nest box up here, they haven't come back this year, but the last couple of years they have. It was like one group of kids was gone, they were already starting on the next one. It's like there's no pause or wait in between. But I don't know with robins if there's sort of like, a reestablishment, maybe, I don't know if they pair up with the same lady again to have a second brood, or is it, I don't know. I don't know if they've already had their kids and grown. I don't think that the kids have fledged yet. So it was just an interesting thing. I was like, I would just wonder, maybe I haven't paid too much attention to robins and their, sort of cycle of life, and how often they group up this time of year and how often they still need to fight. And yeah, that's interesting that you were just observing that, all the singing happening. Was it, and it wasn't a dawn song, you're saying this was like a daytime, like all day long kind of song?
This is chirp, 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 and that's it. And it just continues with a pause and then three, and then a pause and three.
But like all day long, or is it more like the dawn, like morning time?
I'm not sure I've listened all day long, but
yeah,
but it's frequent. And I notice, when I go to my car to go somewhere, there's that robin, and then
He's still singing.
yeah, it seems like
Wow.
he'll be the latest one out there singing. Poor guy.
Maybe he
Or
has a crush on you.
we're gonna trick her.
He's like, she's cute. I want to sing to her. Look, she's outside now. I'm gonna sing again.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on, but I'll keep listening.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, thanks, Stella. You always help us listen deeper. All right, any last stories that want to be gathered today, be heard? No, you're good? Okay, yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming, and enjoy your holiday, whatever you have planned or not planned today, whatever it's going to look like for you. Good to see some faces I haven't seen in a while, and Marisa. And yeah, hopefully we'll get to see you next week. All right, everybody. Much
Thank
love.
you.
Good to
Have a
see
good
you.
day.
Bye bye.